Welcome back to the Skylab, and today you, dear viewer, will find out, does a gaming mouse make a difference? Through some light experimentation, I am here to tell you today. I hypothesize that the gaming mouse won't make a huge amount of difference, but it could. That's why we're here to test it out. For this test, I used a Razer, a 2013 Death Adder Razer, and an approximately 2013 Dell Optiplex MS1. Yes, that is a mouthful, aka the default shitty mouse that you get with pretty much all desktop computers. And I also used Counter-Strike Go as my test game. Along with this game, I also used a synthetic benchmark. I went to a site called Aim Booster and did their sort of aim testing, the accuracy test, just to see what it would look like on paper, basically. Will the differences on the synthetic benchmarks actually mean anything in the Counter-Strike tests, though? We'll find out. Now, if you're only interested in the results, I will go ahead and I will mark that down below in the description with a timestamp if you just want to get right to the good stuff. Now, please note, this video is more aimed at general gamers. I'm not a professional gamer. I'm not an amateur professional, nothing of the sort. I'm just a normal guy, just a regular average scientist guy doing these tests for you guys. Now, I will be talking about DPI with the mice. So really quick as an aside, DPI refers to dots per inch, or how fast the mouse moves across the screen when you physically move it. A high DPI doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a better mouse. Adjusting sensitivity in the game or in Windows might help with a lower DPI mouse, and really, you could almost get it to the same if you got your settings right or if you were used to another mouse. Overall, a higher DPI doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better mouse. Now, before we jump into the methods, let's talk a little bit about the mice themselves. This is the Death Adder, the 2013 edition. It sports a 6400 DPI sensor and weighs in at about 3.7 ounces. I would say this is a mid-end sensor and middleweight mouse. It features a ridged mouse wheel that has a slight click when you scroll and is lit by a green LED. So hey, all of your friends know that you love Razer and Razer is the best mouse. The two clickers have a medium amount of travel and a very tactile click. On the side are two programmable buttons, very handy for utility type commands in games. The backside features a glowing green Razer logo. Underneath is the infrared sensor and some plastic posts that make the mouse movement very smooth. Overall, very decent mouse and not terribly expensive. You can pick these up new for around $30 to $40 US. Now the competition, the Dell MS1. This mouse is the default that comes with most Dell desktops in the last few years. This one is from a few years back and was an office backup that I had laying around. It weighs in at 3.52 ounces, so a little bit lighter than the Razer. The DPI comes in at a much lower 1000 DPI. It features also a ridged scroll wheel with a fairly tactile click. The clickers are a medium-low height with a little smaller click distance. Now, the click actuation feels fairly muddy, not quite as snappy as the Razer. There's no other features to speak of on the top, no extra buttons of any kind, and the mouse shape is not very ergonomic. On the bottom is some smaller plastic pads for smoother movement and the laser sensor. There is nothing special about this mouse, but I've used many Optiplex mice over the years and had little issue, but handling-wise, it's like trying to control a hot buttered potato. The shape and sensor make it feel a lot less responsive. Now, enough comparisons. Let's get to the testing. So first, the synthetic benchmarks. I used a website called Aim Booster for this, and I will link it down below. And hey, see if you can beat my scores. I played a practice round with each mouse before testing. I used the default settings on the accuracy practice test and played it for 1 minute. I did this 10 times with each mouse and took averages. As you can see with the Razer, I tended to overmouse a bit and then come back to the mark to try to hit it. Now, don't be fooled. This is not an easy test. Over the 10 tests, I averaged 33.15% with the Razer. And here's the graph on that. Not terribly impressive, but once again, I'm by no means a professional gamer or anything close to it. I repeated the same method with 10 accuracy tests with the Dell. I managed a slightly less figure of 28.34%, and comparatively, this is not that far off. Now, I won't get too into depth on statistics, as this was more of a bench test, but the average combined standard deviation of accuracy for both mice was 9.5%. Our difference of 4.8% certainly falls within that range. However, as this test only used 10 trials and the variation was a little high, I would not rely on that particular stat. This is just an interesting side note. So, with a 4.81%, how does that compare to a real-world test? Or does it indicate a real-world difference at all? For the game test, I used Counter-Strike Go. This game is a good pick, as first-person shooters would definitely highlight a difference in mouse choice if there was a large effect. Shown in the upper left is the highly advanced and totally patented Skylab Gaming mouse cam. Very advanced. Now, another note, I am not very good at this game also. Yes, I know. For all games, I used the AK-47 as my gun of choice, and I played a practice round each, and then 10 non-competitive matches with each mouse. The results may shock you a little bit. I managed a 0.97 KDR with the Razer, and 0.8 with the Dell. So yes, this is 21% better overall, but that can be a little misleading. Take a look at this graph here. Killing-wise, I actually did better with the Dell, but on average I died 2 more times per match with the Dell. I won 4 out of 10 matches with the Razer and 3 out of 10 with the Dell. So arguably the KDR difference didn't really affect game winning as much overall. Also keep in mind that I've been using the Razer for about 4 years, so I'm a lot more used to it. In summation, the mouse choice did increase my performance, but only by a little bit. This could be chalked up to my familiarity with the Razer, the smallest dataset, and/or the fact that I only used one gun for my trials. This test was more of an introduction, though, into whether a mouse can make you do better in games or not. Even though I got about the same amount of kills with the Dell, it felt much harder. It just did not glide as well on the mat, and I felt like I jumped a lot more shots with the Dell. Now, all of that aside, if you have a default wired mouse, it is probably fine to use if you're a casual gamer, or you're not a professional or anything. Now, if you're a more hardcore gamer, or you're an aspiring pro, or hey, you already are a professional gamer, then a gaming mouse could give you that very slight edge you're looking for. Even a cheaper gaming mouse like the Death Adder could be your ticket here. Now, even though this was a lot of hard work, it was really fun, and I hope this experiment gives you guys a little bit of insight into whether a gaming mouse might help you. As always, your mileage may vary, and if you're kicking ass with that default Dell or decades-old no-name mouse, then hey, you keep on doing you. As this test is about you, I want to know your experience with those, so please, in the comments below, let me know if you have a gaming mouse, what the model is, and if you think it actually makes you do better, or you feel like it makes you do better at games. And if you have different gear or some kind of other test that you'd like me to do, then please also let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video or you found it helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it or you hate it, give it a thumbs down. And as always, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As we say here at the lab, the more scientists, the merrier. Until next time, this is your host, Skylab Gaming Crazian, signing off.